You see this lake behind me? No you didn't. At least not like this for much longer, because today my foxy friend Millie and I are setting out to transform this lake in my Minecraft Forever world. So grab your goggles and let's get going. Alright, we are going to be transforming a lake today, which means we need to travel a bit, so we're going to need to pack a backpack. First things first, I'm just going to grab these diamonds that I've been storing in my backpack and go up to my little storage room here to repair some of my tools. So let's start with our pickaxe because that's pretty important. Then let's do our axe and of course our silk touch pick just in case. And we'll put the diamonds back in our backpack for later just in case also, because we're definitely going to need to do some repairs at some point. Let's also grab a few stacks of bread so that we're sorted for pretty much the whole video and don't necessarily need to make a farm or head out for any other food. And with our backpack all packed, let's head into the nether to use our nether highways and get to our lake. Now this portal should bring us out near our swamp. Let me just pick up my boat. And the lake shouldn't be too far from our swamp. And with a little bit of travel, we are at our lake. Now, I just realized I forgot to bring wood or a bed, so I'm gonna just have to grab this tree over here, and there are a few sheep luckily here, so we'll be sorted for that. And just in time for the sun to go down, we are gonna have a bed. Now let's go grab some building materials. I started underground gathering iron, coal, iridium ore, and extra diamonds for my tools. Once that was done, I pillaged a library for books, and then headed above ground for lots of spruce. I also picked up some oak, mangrove, bamboo, and birch. I quickly grabbed some dark prismarine, wool, terracotta, sandstone, sand for glass, and cacti for green dye before heading back. Alright, so this little spot right here is where we're officially gonna put our lake house. And I've got some pretty funky ideas for this one, so buckle up I guess. We're starting out with just the base structure as usual today, and then we can jump into all of the fun stuff once that's all done. Now, I've already gone ahead and marked out the foundation of the house, but the cool thing is that these markers are actually going to be structural supports instead of us filling in all the gaps like we usually would. Like, since we're going to be building this house over the edge of the lake, it'd feel a little weird just having it float in the air, right? So naturally, we're going for supports, and all we've got to do is take all of these markers and extend them up above the water until, of course, they reach just above the surface. And that way, the build will look like it's actually supported above the water, and honestly, it's just going to look cute. So let's get this done. Just before we fill in the foundation, I just need to run around and extend these outer posts up a couple blocks. Okay, cool. Now to get this foundation ready for a house, starting by laying down the outer blocks just to frame it all up nicely with a few details, and then we'll go ahead and fill in the whole middle section with some trusty spruce planks. Super simple for now, but don't worry, it's gonna get cooler. Since it was a pretty big area, I spent the rest of the day getting the foundation all filled in, which was the kind of task where you can just zone out and place blocks and let your brain take a nap for a minute, which we love over here. However, I did have to use my brain a little bit while I was at it, since I decided to mark out the post of the frame of the actual house as I went to get a little head start on my next chunk of tasks. Alright, so before we get into actually building the details of the frame and the walls and whatnot, I'm just going to run around and add in some trapdoors all the way across these like this, and some slabs on top of each of the posts. Then where I can, in between the spruce planks, I'm going to add in an extra spruce. Hang on, I'm going to have to put this one level up to do what I'm going to do. Just like that. That was my intended design, so let me just change these few pieces right here. And then I'm just going to do that, of course, all the way around the outer platform thing. Now that the foundation and frame are all sorted, it is wall time, and I've decided to go with sandstone for this one, not only because it contrasts nicely with all of the spruce, but also because it kind of softens the overall look and keeps things feeling warm and welcoming without using more spruce. And the plan is to keep the walls from feeling too heavy or boxy by adding lots and lots of windows, because I want the whole thing to feel super light and airy, especially since we're building it over a lake. And I do also kind of want to do a big round window sort of detail on the lower part, since I am planning to add a water wheel to the sides later. So I'm gonna prep for that by tying in the circular elements to the rest of the build, and I hope that makes an ounce of sense to someone. But first, let's just get all of these walls and whatnot in, and then we'll get to work on the whole circle thing, because I feel like that's going to be slightly confusing to do. Although, I do think we could maybe do it by adding in like an illusion of a circular window, by just adding details on the outside and not actually making a circular window on the inside. But again, we'll deal with that when we get to it. Alright, that's one big window area done. Now I'm going to make this whole back area basically just a big wall of windows. Although, I guess they're going to kind of look like big double doors. At least that's what I'm hoping. Then we just need to add an actual glass door to make it look like it's, you know, not a normal door. What am I saying right now? Anyways, now that's done, we can build up these little side bits like this. And then all the way across the top, we can use our birch planks. Then let's also add in a couple windows right here just to mix things up a little bit. And we're also going to add in one on top of here, but I apparently can't reach. There we go. Now I'm just going to fill in this side like this side with the windows and the palisades and whatnot. And then of course I'll just fill in the rest of the walls as normal. And we should be good to get started on the little circle detail thing I mentioned earlier. Ooh. That is incorrect. Wait, what is going on here? Did I make this side wider than the other side? I think I might have. What have I done? This is correct like this. So that should be right. And then, oh, I guess we're gonna have to bring this in like this and then add in another post right here. And that should be good. It's okay, not everything needs to be symmetrical. Now, usually I would leave this little circle thing right to the end, but I do have an idea of how it's gonna work, so I kind of just want to get it out the way now because I feel like, I don't know, it could be more difficult than my brain thinks it is. Okay, never mind. That was actually pretty easy. I don't know why I was stressing about that. But I am gonna go grab Millie from under here because her splashing around is kind of driving me insane. So I'm just adding in some extra details. Oh, rip. I'm just adding in some extra details up here for a little bit of roof detail, but this isn't like the top of the house. I still have like another part to build, but you'll get the idea when it's finished. And with both sides of circle windows complete, I'm just adding in a little balcony area up here, which I think will be cute for a little table and chair set and just, I don't know, it's gonna look really cute, trust me. But I just gotta fill in all of this because of course we need a decent platform up here. And it sort of adds to the ceiling of this whole area down here. Now I've gone ahead and added these little triangle pieces here to create what I believe is called a cross-gabled roof. So now we have the fun task of trying to figure out how to connect everything up and make it look like a complete roof. As you can probably imagine, I spent the rest of the day carefully placing down all the roof blocks to bring this colourful vision to life. I went with a mix of teal and green blocks for the roof, not only because it contrasts nicely with all of the spruce that we've already used, but also because it kind of ties everything together with the natural surroundings. We've got the beautiful blue lake right below us and then all of the grassy green mountains around the edges of this little spot. So I wanted the roof to feel like it was part of that scene and just like it belongs here. I feel like if I'd gone with something like another wood or a deep slate or a brick roof, I'm sure it still would have looked cute, but I don't think it would have captured the exact vibe that I'm going for. So This way it feels a little bit more whimsical and a bit more naturey and just right for a house on the lake. Okay, that is looking so good right now. I pretty much just need to add some like leaves and lanterns and whatnot, and then we're good to take a little nap and get to work on the interiors tomorrow. And I almost forgot that I got mangrove wood for a little awning situation. So let's get this down and then we're done with the exterior details. And there we have it, a completed, stunning lake house. Well, completed other than the interiors. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those done, or at least see what I can get done, because we do have quite a lot of space to work with on this one. I didn't want to cover the entire part across here because obviously we have these really nice tall window areas, and I feel like maybe what I'm going to do is add a bridge right across here and then have like the bedroom this side, or I don't know. We'll see what we can fit in here. Okay, I would say that this is a pretty crazy transformation to what we started with, but let's just talk you through it. Over here I added in a little bench and some buttons on the wall, which are meant to be like coat hangers and somewhere that you would sit and take off and put on your shoes, or even put your shoes on the bench, who knows. Then over here I just have a little lamp and a bowl to put your keys in, I guess. I don't know, but I just thought it looked cute together. Then over here we have the lovely big living room with a bunch of storage all the way around the edge. And I do have to shout out the chipped mod as usual, because the terracotta within it is just gorgeous, and you can create these really cool rugs, which is just perfect for what I do here. Over here we obviously have the little dining room, and I added some storage and just a little bit of extra decoration to sort of separate this area and kind of anchor it, I guess. Then over here we have a pretty basic kitchen and just a little bit of extra storage over here. Honestly, I didn't really know what to do to fill the space, but it looks good. And I also didn't want to cover up these big windows too much, so that's why I only did these two walls. Then if we just head up the ladder here, we can make our way across the bridge to our bedroom. Now this was a little bit of a tight squeeze because I did have to put my chipped mod benches in here and a furnace. It sounds like a squid is dying again outside. RIP, I guess. But yeah, this is what I had to work with for the bedroom, and I feel like I did a pretty good job considering. Then outside on our balcony, I just added a little mangrove set of table and chairs just because I thought it looked good. And I think it's safe to say that that is our lakeside house interiors completed. I snagged some iron from my iron farm and topped off my spruce. I went off to grab more oak and birch, as well as sandstone, sand for glass, azalea leaves, and more viridium ore. I grabbed more diamonds for repairs, cobblestone, and picked up some obsidian. Some dark prismarine later, and I was heading home. So we obviously have our big farm way back over at the base, but just in case we decide to take vacations here, I want to add in a small but still functional farm. I have a bunch of potatoes and wheat seeds to plant, and obviously my main diet is only bread, but I feel like just adding in the potatoes will make the farm look a little bit nicer, just having in some like greenery, and with one of the mods or the texture packs or something, it adds little white flowers to the tops of the potatoes, so should look really cute. But first let's get this outline finished. So with the basic outline done, I'm just going to run around and add some spruce slabs to the top of these stripped spruce logs, and also add in some spruce trapdoors on either side of these slabs. Now with that done, let's start adding in our water blocks ready for our farmland. And of course, now the water is in, we can get to work tilling the land. Then to plant these sections, I'm just going to alternate between the potatoes and the wheat, and hopefully it looks really cute when it's all grown in. Although I did make this one kind of joint up, so I've had to sort of do like a little double situation here, but I didn't want it to be completely symmetrical. And I'm hoping that was the correct choice because I feel like it's kind of weird to always have everything looking so symmetrical, so I don't know, we'll see. Whilst all of the crops grow in, I'm just going to add some extra details to the paths here by doing a mix of the rough dirt and the trodden dirt from the chipped mod. Then in these gaps back here, I'm going to add in some leaves. And finally, we just need to add some lighting to this path. Oh, and also add these details with the trapdoors. Almost forgot I had them. And there is our super simple but super cute little farm. Now, a little while ago, I talked about adding a water wheel to this house. Or at least, I think I did. But it's time to get going on that today. Alright, with the cross part done, let's add in our stairs and slabs and whatnot and try and create a nice looking wheel with them. Then with our wheel done, let's just add a little bit more structure to the center of the wheel. Then finally, I'm just going to add in some of these oak trapdoors for a little bit of extra detail and just contrast in general. Now, unfortunately, this isn't a functional wheel, but it does look really cute and we can just pretend it's not in service at the moment, right? I do feel like the water wheel just fully completes the house though, and I'm so glad that I added these little circle window details because it does really tie everything in nicely. So with all that done, let's get a portal going, and I am not going to be doing another nether highway with this one because I've definitely had enough of that with the last video I did with nether portals. But this one should spawn somewhere close to at least one of my nether highways. I'm hoping anyway. Anyways, I actually have a really cute idea for this one, and yes, while it might be slightly impractical, I think a floating portal could look absolutely awesome here on the lake. Well, not exactly floating, more like suspended in midair by some kind of crane structure, and I don't know, the idea is that it looks like it's either being hoisted out from the depths of the water or just about to be lowered into it, I guess. But I just love the idea of adding a touch of mystery, like what else could be down there in the lake, and honestly, the whole setup just gives it this cool port or dockside kind of vibe, which feels super fitting for the lake build. And honestly, who needs practicality when you have vibes? Okay, so now the main part is done. Let's build out the little crane type thing that's gonna hold our portal. Now let's just connect the chains all the way across here so that this thing actually looks functional. From underneath, I'm just going to add in 2 grindstones and then some chains hanging from each of them. Then basically all that's left to do is to actually build our portal. To be honest, I'm going to go to bed and do this in the morning because it's about to get super dark. Alright, we're back. Let's get this portal built. So we just have to go all the way across like that. Then we can break these down. Then let's just go across here. I can just place that there and hopefully jump up onto this block. Perfect. And then just join up these sides. And let's light this thing. Alright, we're looking pretty good so far, but I do feel like we need some extra details. So let's get over there and add in some barrels. And I was thinking maybe like a little wheel situation right here because at the moment it looks a bit empty. And honestly, I think I'm going to expand this out a little bit too, just that we have a little bit of like a... I don't really know how to describe it. A platform area, I guess you would call it. But we'll have to bring this out a bit maybe? I don't know. How am I going to make that work? To be honest, I feel like we can actually just get away with this and then just covering up the edges with these trapdoors. Okay, we got all the barriers sorted and I added some leaves under here just because I can't go without adding leaves to any build, honestly. Let's get this little wheel thing built. Let's start by adding in this piece as a center, then let's add some palisades either side. Then we've got to do some spruce slabs like this and some spruce stairs. And then cover up each side with a spruce trapdoor, though I can't really do that with the stair in the way. Can I do this? Yes, I can. And then I just need to repeat that underneath, and it should look like a wheel. Not entirely sure how I'm going to get from here to the portal, but to be honest, I don't really need it right now, so I guess I could figure that out later. But just in case, I'm going to add in a couple of these trapdoors just like here, because then I feel like you can jump across and then go through that way, right? Oh, I mean, obviously that works, but you've just got to not fall off the edge. And there we have it, a complete portal that is now actually usable. So as usual, we have reached the point where I'm starting to get way too much junk piled up and nowhere logical to put anything. So today we're coming up with some sort of storage solution, starting with the foundation and frame as always. Now what we need to do to finish off our frame is make sure every bit of spruce is stripped. Next up, we've got the walls and windows to sort, and for this build, I'm gonna match them with the main house since this is technically an extension of the base. And I feel like keeping things cohesive here will make the area feel way more polished, so that means we're sticking with the same block palette and window style, though I might tweak a few tiny details here and there just so it has a bit of its own personality, so it's giving sisters, not twins. Those walls were easy enough, so let's get a head start on the outline of the roof, and then of course we'll fill in the roof. Similarly to the walls, I've matched the roof with the base roof, and all that's left to do now is add in some leaves. And of course, some lighting. And finally, we have some organized peace at last. Now I will admit, I'll just be throwing stuff into any old chest in here, but at least it's all in the same place. Why does this look so ominous? Millie, why are you staring at me like that? Are you good? Are you stuck? What was that about? She freaks me out sometimes, guys. What was that about? Anyways, as I was saying, I feel like it's completely valid that I just chuck everything into one place because I'm so busy building that I don't really have time to actually organize. And also, I kind of hate organizing. But on that note, let's head to bed and then head out for some more materials in the morning. I started out by swimming around for kelp. I found a shipwreck and snagged a treasure map, which led me to a heart of the sea. On my way back, I killed some drown to collect enough nautilus shells for a conduit and grabbed some prismarine. Back on land, I picked up a ton of sand for glass, as well as cobblestone, coal, dirt, leaves, and spruce wood. I also snagged some bones from the nether for bone meal. So I think it's about time I utilize the lake a little more, but I do have some plans to do underwater building and I really don't want to drown whilst doing that. So we've got all the stuff to put together a conduit. Let's get that set up and then we can get started on all of our underwater stuff. Alright, well that was easy enough. Let's just grab our dirt from down here so that it looks like it's nice and floating. And let's get to work on our underwater builds. Also, side note, I feel like I'm playing mermaids right now. I absolutely love underwater builds. So, in the spirit of giving us the perfect set to play lake mermaids in, I'm thinking we should add some underwater ruins. And I know I previously mentioned wanting to have the conduit floating, but I just had the idea to add some ruins underneath the conduit because I feel like it'll look really cool and sort of like frame the conduit really nicely. So that's what we're doing right now. And I also really want this to feel like the ruins of a couple old buildings, like maybe some villagers once tried to settle down in this crater. And maybe at the time it seemed like a cozy sheltered spot, but they didn't really think about what would happen when rain came and the water had nowhere to drain to. So eventually, the flooding got too bad and they had to abandon their homes, leaving them to slowly break down, and nature just crept in and took over. Now all that's left are these mossy, crumbling remains, which, lucky for us, makes the perfect reclaimed spot for a pair of wannabe mermaids to set up shop. And yes, I am absolutely talking about Millie and I. Okay, so I feel like this is definitely giving the exact vibe I wanted it to give, but it is missing some elements of nature taking over. So I'm going to plant a bunch of kelp and also place a bunch of leaves to just really give that taken over by nature feel to it. Now that our kelp is all grown in, the last thing we need to do is bone meal the ground to get some seagrass. Now that is exactly what I had in my head for this space. I'm so happy it turned out so well, and honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I would be more than happy to play mermaids in this place. But I do feel like Millie and I may get a little bit lonely, so let me know down in the comments if you would want to play with us. But for our people who don't necessarily want to get wet but still want to see the ruins, I think we should get to work on a little underwater observation area. So let's get most of this placed and see what we can come up with. Now with our posts all marked out, we can get to work on our archways. So I'm going to do 2 palisades up like this and then add in another spruce block on top. Then we're going to go ahead and do 2 spruce slabs followed by 2 spruce trapdoors. And right across the top, we're going to do spruce logs. Oh, okay, I guess I've got to do this on a different level. And now I just need to do that same thing on all of the other posts. Now I am going to make sure this tunnel goes all the way into this bit, don't worry, but for now I'm just working on the bit that is in the water because I am going to have to do a lot of draining. Now what order do I want to do the glass in? I feel like I probably want to use this type of glass here and then just like the normal glass in these spots here. I feel like that's going to be the best way to do this so that we can still see out. So that is all of our glass placed, and also this little area here with our stone and everything dug out so that we can get back out into the area above the water. Tomorrow I'm going to have to absolutely clear all of this water out and then we can make the floor look a little bit more interesting. But for now, let's get ourselves up to bed because it is nighttime and I don't know, it's probably going to get a little bit scary. I do feel like I may regret adding in the details inside of these arches because obviously they're waterlogged at the moment and I'm not going to be able to place a block in order to get the water to not be logged in them. So I feel like I'm going to have to do this and then come back once most of the water is drained and then like re-drain them, if that makes sense. But for now, we're just going to fill in literally every gap with all of the dirt that we can. And then of course we'll break it and hopefully there'll be a lot less water in here. Whew. Okay, now for the moment of truth. I have to break all of this dirt and hopefully the waterlogged pieces aren't too much of a problem. Okay, so far so good I feel like. To be honest, I don't think these ones here were waterlogged because they're kind of underneath the ground and not in the water. I think the next lot is going to be the true test. Oh dear, okay. Oh dear, oh no. Okay, Oh, actually, I think the problem here is the stairs. I didn't really think about those. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's fix this, I guess. We're going to have to break all of these pieces and replace them with a block to get rid of the water. And then we'll get rid of the dirt and then we'll replace these blocks. Is that just going to go away or is this a problem? Oh, I feel like the palisades are a problem too. Why did I not think of this when I was doing it? What a nightmare. I think maybe a way around this will be to just break out the middle pieces. Oh, no, of course not, because those are in the way. I actually cannot believe I've done this way. Okay, let me cover up these pieces, I guess. And then what we can do is just go through the middle and deal with what we can through here. Although I think I'm going to be able to just get rid of all of this anyways. Oh, no, there's a piece that maybe I just forgot. Or is that a piece that has the trapdoor? I don't know. Oh my gosh, why does this not work? Okay, now when I break that, there shouldn't be any more water. Did I just miss a block? I must have just missed a block right there. Ah! Okay, that's the trapdoors. They're a problem. So we should be able to go 1, 2, 3, miss a block, 1, 2, 3. And hopefully we can minimize the problems that we have here by doing this. Or cause more, who knows? Hello? Did I just forget this section? I guess I did. What on earth? Alright, crisis averted. Oh my goodness. That took me a ridiculous amount of time, but we are now water-free. But we're not quite done yet, so we need to just cut out a little bit of stone right here, and also some of the gravel and whatnot, and turn it into some of these etched stone bricks from the chipped mod. And with the floor all done, let's go grab Millie, because although I've seen her dive before, I don't think she's actually able to play mermaids with us, which is super sad, but I'm sure she'll appreciate this tunnel nonetheless. See, this fox is just itching to get underwater, but unfortunately she just does a lot of swimming and not a lot of diving unless there's something she wants under the water. Millie, let me pick you up. There we go. Question is, where did the entrance go? Oh, there it is. All right, Mills, what do you think? I know, right? It's perfect. To be honest, it really is perfect. Maybe not the most perfect because you can't see loads through the bits of the glass, but it definitely does what I wanted it to do. So I'm calling that perfect. And Millie can be down here, which is really fun. With that done though, I better go make myself a new shovel and head out for some more materials. Millie, are you following? Oh, okay, she is. Let's see if she'll make it up the ladder. Okay, well that's not a good sign. I have seen her climb ladders before, but sometimes she just doesn't. So I think I'm just gonna have to pick her up and take her up to the surface. There we go, Mills. Just let me know when you want to go underwater, okay? And I'll take you down. Or you can take yourself down if you really feel like it. But anyways, let's go get our shovel and, like I said, head out for some more materials. Where am I going? This is not my storage room. I headed underground for cobblestone and coal. Then back to my farms for more spruce, dark oak, and iron. Lastly, I picked up some oak and azalea leaves before heading home. So, currently our entrance to the underground tunnel is just a big hole in the ground. So let's get down here and make it a little bit cuter. Okay, I was going to start from underneath, but then I thought it would be easier to start from up here. So I've just dug down into the tunnel, not all of the way yet, but I do just want to get started on the entrance of the tunnel before I start digging even more. Now that's done, let's add in a little bit of extra detail with these oak trapdoors and some fences. Then on the sides here, let's add in some spruce trapdoors and then a little bit of extra detailing on the roof part here. So let's do some stairs like this, then a stair like that, and cover these up with some spruce trapdoors. Easy peasy and much cuter than just a hole in the ground. So now let's go down here and actually get started, or get finished even, on our little staircase area. And actually, now I'm thinking about it, I do need to also break all of this down so that I can change the walls. So I guess I'll get that part done first, and then I can just start digging down further until we get to the actual entrance of the tunnel. As you can imagine, it took me a little while to get the staircase dug out, and I did momentarily regret not just leaving the hole in the ground, or what could have been named the pit, like it's some kind of eldritch horror. But unfortunately for myself, I do have an irresistible compulsion to make everything as cute as possible. So eventually that urge overtook my feeling of tiredness, and I guess you could say I enjoyed myself. Or at least enjoyed a moment of mindless digging in the name of a cute result. So now that our tunnel entrance is completely dug out and I've added in some spruce supports, it's time to finish filling in the walls and the ceiling, which should hopefully take me a lot less time than it took me to dig the area out. And just like that, our entire tunnel is completed. And Millie has a nice and easy way to get up and down from here without me having to carry her. Whee! How much better does that look than the hole in the ground, which no longer exists? So the tunnel marks the end of our underwater stuff, so let's get a cutesy little boardwalk going. And this is another build that's going to be kind of a two-parter, so once we get this wrapped up, we can add a cute gazebo on the other side. But before we even think about that, it's probably a good idea to get this boardwalk linked up to our little crane thing that we built for our portal. Now that the boardwalk is marked out, let's get it all joined together. And it's going to be a little bit difficult because this isn't a straight line, but I'm sure we'll get it figured out. join up these sides, I'm going to use some of these spruce planks from the chipped mod. I've run along and added in a bunch of fences here for, well, fencing, but I feel like I need to also extend these posts up one just to make it look a little less skinny. I don't know. I just feel like it needs a little bit more like solidness to it. And then on the top of each post and block, I'm going to add in some trapdoors. Then between each thing, I'm going to add in trapdoors, but on the lower level just to get a little bit of dimension and like levels going on. And hopefully it just makes it look a little bit more interesting than just a line of trapdoors. Then to finish the base of this structure, we're just going to bring these posts all the way up to just above the water, then add some of these spruce planks on top of each of them. Then we're just going to simply connect them up and create a nice little dock area. All that's left to do for this bit is add in some railings. So we're going to use some of these oak trapdoors just to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to put them right here and hopefully they all go the right way. And I think we need some of these here too so that it doesn't look so random. Then to finish off the entire boardwalk, we're going to create a nice little stone wall right here, and then of course cover this thing in leaves because it isn't an M build unless there are leaves everywhere. There we have it, our finished boardwalk leading up to our portal. That is currently not usable. Now to deal with Millie, because it sounds like she's struggling somewhere down here. Where are you, Mills? I can hear her, but I can't see her. Can anyone see her? Like, actually, where is she? Oh, okay, there she is. Wait, how did I miss that? Alright, Mills, let's get you out of there. Oh. There we go. I do have a feeling that I'm going to put her on land and she's just going to immediately get back in the water, but at least we can say we tried. Okay, so remember that gazebo I mentioned earlier? Well, it's finally time to build it. Yippee! After we build this extra little platform thing, that is. It just felt like having the boardwalk end in a plain old dock leading to absolutely nothing was a little bit too boring, and it definitely needed something special to really finish off the area. I did briefly consider building a boat at the end here because that feels like the obvious option, but I've got other boat related plans in mind, so for now, we're just gonna go with a little sweet gazebo instead. And don't worry, we'll get to the boat stuff later. The gazebo is going to be the perfect shady spot to relax on under those hot Minecraft afternoons. Just imagine the breeze off the lake, some leaves hanging down from the roof, and then maybe a couple lanterns. This is going to be so cute. Now that the frame of the gazebo is done, let's add some details. So I'm going to add in some trapdoors on this level here, and then a spruce log facing this way, ready for our roof. Ouch! I don't think I've used dark oak yet, other than for our table and chairs in my house, but kind of excited to see what this looks like because I was thinking that we've used a lot of spruce so far, and I wanted to mix it up a little without being too difficult, or without it being too difficult, I should say. I would love to use more of these blocks like the prismarine and whatnot, but they were a little bit of a pain to get, so glad that we've got the dark oak. But for now, let's get ourselves to bed because it is getting very dark and I don't want to get caught by anything scary out here. Alright, just before we get back up and finish the roof, I want to add in some lighting. So I'm going to do a little mix of just normal lanterns and then lanterns attached to chains just to make it look a little bit more interesting over here. Alright, now for the roof. Let's start by adding in a slab on top of each of these blocks right here, and then we can just move up in a circle and hopefully it all joins together in the middle and we get a cute little domed roof. Alright, I couldn't have asked for that to go any better because that was literally the easiest thing ever. Now I was thinking of adding in some leaves all over the roof because I do love to do that in pretty much all of my builds. But I also thought it may be a little bit cuter to have the leaves just around the edge, and also maybe it would make a little bit more sense because it's kind of like mossiness coming from the water, if that makes sense. And with that, I feel like our area on the lake is really starting to come together. And on that note, it's probably a good time to head out for some more materials. I headed out for dark oak, spruce, acacia, flowers, lily pads, and leaves. I then topped off my iron before heading underground for coal, andesite, and diamonds to repair my tools. And lastly, I stopped off in the nether for as much quartz as I could carry. Now, the boat-related ideas I was having earlier is the idea of swan boats, which in real life have always fascinated me, and unfortunately I've never actually been in one, but I think I can live vicariously through building some in Minecraft. I also just feel like adding a few swan-shaped boats to this lake will instantly heighten the charm and whimsy of the whole area, since it's already got this like peaceful, cozy vibe going on, and the swan boats should just add in that perfect little fun fairy tale twist. Plus, they're a great way to make use of all the open water here without cluttering things up too much. Functional and fabulous. What more could you want? Wait, oh my god, this might be the best thing I've ever built. That is so adorable. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 more of these because I literally cannot get enough of them. What on earth? That looks so good. Okay, I know I said I wasn't gonna do a boat over by the dock, but I am very clearly obsessed with these swan boats, so I feel like it's only appropriate if we do add a boat in here. Miles, do you want to maybe get back in before I place this block? Thank you. All right, now I need to remember what I did to actually build the swan part. I think it was a block right here. Then we went up 2 blocks here. And I think a stair? I don't know. I probably should have taken screenshots of the other ones so I could follow what I've already done, but I think I've got it. Ah, it's getting dark. Okay, let me go to bed and then we'll finish this swan off in the morning. Okay, I think that's the back half done. Now let's do the neck. So we need to do a stair here, then go up 1, 2, 3, 4, stair on the top, block on this side, and then acacia slab here to create the beak. Or the bill, I guess it's called. Then let's just add in our lanterns and of course our little buttons for the eyes. Okay, obviously that one is looking adorable as well, but I do feel like we need a third one maybe in this area here. So let's get that done. Now that is looking absolutely gorgeous, stunning, and amazing. Let's head back to our base and get ready for our next little project. So I was looking at all of this empty space earlier and I was just staring at it for ages thinking, what on earth could I put in there? And I decided to keep it super simple and classic and just stick with a garden. I honestly think adding a few irregularly shaped flower gardens around the food farm is such a good move because it's just going to break up all of the super straight lines and just make the area feel way more natural and cozy. Plus, let's be real, you literally cannot go wrong with a bunch of flowers. They instantly add color, life, and just that lovely little finishing touch that makes the whole space feel intentional and cared for. Honestly, I feel like if I had just scattered a bunch of flowers around the edges of the farm and whatnot, it would have made a big difference. But you know me, I like to add a little bit of structure to everything. Also, since we're building a garden, I'm going to take this chance to talk about plants because I absolutely love gardening. And I know I've probably asked this before, but I want to hear it again. What are your favorite flowers, both in Minecraft and in real life? Because for me, in real life, it's gotta be red roses. They're such a classic and honestly, just so gorgeous. I was also super obsessed with Beauty and the Beast as a kid, so I feel like that's probably a reason I love red roses too. But recently, I've become mildly obsessed with dahlias, specifically the ones with those super dark purplish leaves and then like the bright, bold blossoms. They just have this slightly spooky gothic vibe going on, and I'll be honest, as much as I love a cozy cottagecore build, deep down I am just a little spooky girl. As for in Minecraft though, at the moment I think I have to say peonies and blue orchids. Peonies are just so like fluffy and elegant and they make really good decorations. The blue orchids, however, just give off such a peaceful, magical, swampy vibe that I just love to look at in general. But anyways, I've told you my favorites and now it's your turn to tell me yours. I genuinely want to know because I love talking about plants and also hearing/reading about them. And just like that, we have some perfectly imperfect flower gardens. And if you didn't go down and tell me your favorite flower, I'll give you 3 seconds to do it right now. Did you do it? I don't even know if that was 3 seconds, but anyways, let's move on to our next thing. So in the same vein as our flower gardens, let's talk lily pads, which are basically the aquatic equivalent of flowers, right? I figured we might as well go wild with them and cover the lake with loads of them. Now, I did toy with the idea of going like Tangled style and spacing them out a bunch so that we could plop lanterns on top of them to get that super dreamy floating lantern vibe. But then I thought actually it might be even cooler to go for a super dense look around all of the main builds. I'm also using a bunch of lily pad variations from the chipped mod too, which gives us some really fun textures to play with. But I think that's actually more accurate to how lily pads would look in real life anyway. Like they don't usually sit kind of all around on their own spaced out. I feel like they cluster together into thick patches, right? I don't know, if that's not true, I apologize in advance, but that's the way we're gonna do the lily pad vibe here. Also, I feel like this area would look so adorable with a bunch of frogs running around, but I also feel like maybe it's a bit mean to steal them from the swamp to just put them in my lake. So maybe we'll find a better alternative to that, but for now, I guess I should stop thinking about the frogs. Okay, I feel like that actually has created a really nice effect around the edge of the lake, and honestly, quite a realistic effect, if I do say so myself. Let's get ourselves to bed, and then we'll head out for some more materials in the morning. Sorry, I just wanted to look at the moon real quick because I love the moon. Anyways, let's take a little nap, and like I said, go get some more materials. I headed out armed with my shovel in search of gravel and dirt. I then picked up some stone and moss. Lastly, I picked up some oak wood and leaves before heading back to wrap things up. So we've come to the point of the video where I get to hang a bunch of lanterns and build a bunch of paths, which honestly is one of my favorite bits because it always just pulls everything together super nicely and it is very relaxing to me. Anyways, for the paths, I'm going with a trusty mix of dirt, cobblestone, and gravel. And the idea here is that the dirt blends in nicely with all of the spruce tones we've got all over the place. And then the grey from the gravel and the cobble add just enough contrast against all the green from the grass and the brown from the wood to make it actually look like a pathway. It's a subtle mixture, but it does make a big difference in helping the area feel a little bit more lived in and intentional, especially when everything else around it is just like super whimsical and overgrown. Okay, so now we have all of our path blocks down. I'm gonna run around and add in some of these literal path blocks to the path so that there's a little bit more texture and dimension going on. And now that all of those are down, let's add in some oak leaves to frame the rest of the pathways. And for lighting, I'm just going to add a lantern to the top of each of these posts. I feel like lighting just makes everything look so much better, especially when the sun is going down. Speaking of lighting making everything look better, I feel like we definitely need to add some extra lanterns over here. So I'm going to go around and add lanterns to the top of each of these barrels and a few of these. Then I'm also going to use the leftover rocky paths to just sort of bring this vibe into the boardwalk. feel like since our water wheel isn't currently operational, we're gonna have to add in a few extra leaves here to make it look like nature has taken its toll slightly. How do I get across here? Oh, just like that. And I suppose you'll be wanting the grand reveal now, so let's go to the outro. Water lapped at the serene lake shore as Millie and I walked along our boardwalk, admiring all the hard work we had done. I would call this a success, don't you think? My name is Em, this is Millie, and you have all been amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!